Good morning. I got your energy stories for the second week of November 2021. The first one's kind of a big one. Southern Company, the nation's third largest utility, announced last week it will retire approximately 55% of its remaining coal gen fleet by 2030 as it moves towards a lower carbon generation mix. The retirements include units at two of the country's largest coal-fired facilities and cut the level of coal in Southern system by 80% from 2007 levels. Southern currently runs 18 units at about 9,800 megawatts, which will decline to about 4,300 megs at 8 units, and has a stated corporate goal of reaching net zero emissions by 2050 and has already achieved a goal of reducing emissions by 50% a decade earlier. Meanwhile, in Hawaii, Engie North America is pulling the plug on a planned 60 megawatt solar and 60 megawatt 240 megawatt hour storage project, citing supply chain issues and trade disputes. The company was awarded the project in May of 2020 from Hawaiian Electric Company, and this won't be the last of these issues, as prices soar in the short term and the issue of forced labor in Chinese silicon factories continues to plague the industry. Analyst Rystad indicates that over 50 gigawatts, about 56% of 90 gigawatts of planned solar projects in this country, are potentially threatened by commodity price inflation and shipping costs. Panel manufacturing costs are up nearly 50% in 2021, from below 20 cents per watt to around 27 cents a watt, with rising polysilicon costs up around 300%. Other commodity prices, silver, copper, aluminum, and glass, aren't helping either, and shipping delays and bottlenecks are piling on as well. Switching to electric vehicles and high tech, VW Group of America's innovation hub Knoxville, its group focused on applied materials science, is increasing collaboration with Oak Ridge National Laboratory and the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. The goal is to boost breakthroughs in materials science and recycling concepts to support sustainable mobility. The first project will test Oak Ridge's new high-power wireless EV charging capability with a Porsche Taycan. The aim is to create a high-power wireless charger that focuses electromagnetic waves and eliminates interference. I've got your energy storage charging efficiency. The second week of November prototype has already shown that it can do 98% with only 2% of that input energy not reaching the EV battery. The group has dramatically increased the power level from an initial 6.6 kilowatts up to a current 120 kW and a goal of 300 kW. That's sufficient to recharge the Porsche Taycan to about 80% in 10 minutes. For perspective, 300 kilowatts is equivalent to the power draw on a 20,000 square foot grocery store, going into a single car. Moving over to the hydrogen front, Australian millionaire Andrew Forrest and his mining company Fortescue Metals are planning to invest up to $8.4 billion in a green hydrogen project in Argentina. Fortescue will evaluate local resources and especially the wind energy availability, which would power the plant. Assuming a green light, it would then invest an initial $1.2 billion in a pilot project to produce 35,000 tons of green hydrogen by 2022-2024, prior to an additional $7.2 billion to create 215,000 tons of green hydrogen. That'd be enough to power about 1.6 million homes. The Argentinian government characterizes this as, quote, the most important international investment for our country in the last 20 years. Now let's go to some potentially more disturbing news. CNN reported that it obtained last week a federal law enforcement bulletin stating that a drone had crashed in 2020 near a Pennsylvania power substation that was probably meant to damage or disrupt the electrical equipment. It's the first known case of a drone targeting energy infrastructure, according to an October 28th memo from the FBI, the DHS, and the National Counterterrorism Center. No damage was done, according to the memo, and the responsible entity is still unknown. And it's not the first time that drones have been used by potentially hostile actors. In 2014, 7 drones were observed over French nuclear plants during the nighttime and early morning hours. And finally, major global insurance firm AXA, the first major insurance company to back away from coal back in 2015, has announced it will stop investing in and underwriting insurance for new oil and gas exploration projects unless the affiliated hydrocarbon companies have credible transition plans to renewables. Well, thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week.